In the decades following World War II, international travel evolved from a luxury into a highly efficient global industry. This visualization shows the modern scale of that industry. According to the World Travel and Tourism Council, travel now generates roughly 10% of global GDP and supports over 330 million jobs worldwide. This line graph tracks the resulting growth curve. In 1950, there were 25 million international tourist arrivals. By 2019, that number had climbed to 1.5 billion. To track this massive expansion, the UN and the OECD developed the Tourism Satellite Account. This framework was designed to make travel activity visible to national economists by slotting it into standardized accounting systems. Through this system, 3 specific throughput metrics became the international standard for measuring performance. First, international arrivals, hotel occupancy rates, and total tourism receipts. Destinations adopted these metrics wholesale. They began operating their cities like factory floors, operating on the logic that maximizing human throughput naturally maximized economic success. But an experience-based economy operates differently than traditional manufacturing. When a destination markets itself, it is selling intangible assets, local atmosphere, cultural heritage, and authenticity. As international arrivals surpass their pre-pandemic peaks, this volume is actively fracturing host communities. The industry calls this limit tourism carrying capacity. It is the physical and social threshold where adding one more visitor begins to degrade the quality of the destination itself. The conventional volume metrics are structurally blind to this threshold. When thousands of people pack into a single square, the accounting framework registers a destructive crowd as peak economic performance. This is a system error. The overtourism crisis is caused by an industry optimizing for metrics that consume the very product they are trying to sell. Economists refer to this dynamic as the tragedy of the commons. A destination's unique atmosphere functions as a shared, finite resource. Individual incentives are completely misaligned here. Airlines, hotels, and tourists capture the full benefit of adding one more visit to the ledger, while the compounding cost of crowds and degradation is forced onto the local community. The instinctual political response is to introduce friction. Governments try to manage the crowds by imposing tourist taxes and entry fees. Venice implemented a highly publicized version of this, requiring day trippers to pay a mandatory access fee to enter the historic center. Locals often view these policies with deep skepticism. In Hawaii, residents debating a new $100 million green fee expressed concern that the charge would simply become a permanent government revenue line item rather than actually deterring arrivals. Early evidence from Venice suggests pricing access alone is failing to generate sustained reductions in congestion. Because these heritage sites are irreplaceable, the demand to see them remains largely insensitive to minor financial surcharges. These taxes generate revenue and offer political cover, but they do nothing to prevent the exhaustion of the destination's actual experiential resource. When pricing fails, destination managers are forced to implement direct, quantitative capacity controls. The physical strain on ancient infrastructure leaves no other option. Sites like the Acropolis implemented hard daily visitor caps to prevent overcrowding from damaging marble. Machu Picchu uses similar limits, requiring visitors to follow mandatory, timed circuit systems to keep human traffic flowing safely through the site. These strict physical limitations are also necessary to protect natural topography, like the trails on Mount Fuji, from dangerous soil erosion and total spatial saturation. Some cities are moving beyond daily caps and actively restricting entire segments of the industry. Amsterdam and Dubrovnik are systematically banning or limiting access for large cruise ships. Cruise passengers often utilize city infrastructure and heritage sites without contributing significant local spending through overnight accommodation. This creates a low ratio of economic yield relative to the physical impact on the host community. These bans are rational business decisions. Destinations are cutting their lowest return throughput to save their core asset. Surviving the experience economy requires a strategic pivot. Governments must transition from destination marketing, which generates demand, to destination management, which curates it. Executing this pivot requires a new dashboard measuring asset preservation. The Venice ratio tracks resident population against tourist capacity detecting hollowed-out neighborhoods. Meanwhile, tracking revenue and local satisfaction provides a clearer picture of destination health than sheer foot traffic. These alternative indicators make the true health of a destination visible and actionable to policymakers. In the mid-20th century, a destination's objective was scaling physical infrastructure to accommodate the masses, even turning ancient monuments into parking lots. Today, international tourist arrivals have reached absolute record levels, frequently surpassing the physical capacity of the destinations themselves. In this environment, a destination's competitive advantage lies entirely in its unique authenticity and local culture. Protecting that advantage requires actively defending the destination's scarcity rather than subsidizing its exploitation. Destinations that prioritize the integrity and livability of their local culture ensure the long-term value of the experience. In this new economy, success is measured by the health of the asset, not the volume of its consumption.